Hi, it's Lori Morgan Ferrero from Red Hot Copy, and I am here to show you how much difference a copy makeover can make to the readability of your sales copy and ultimately your profits. So, I have a good friend here, a Dr. Cindy Brown, who has volunteered to let me dissect her sales copy for an event she's having very soon, actually, June the 13th, about relationships. So the website I'm at right now is hers, and it's www.successfulrelationshipsnow.com /Cinderella system. That's successfulrelationshipsnow.com, that's plural, /Cinderella system. And so what I'm going to do is just make a few changes. I can spend hours and hours on people's copy because I get all excited when you start using these different devices and getting different emotional hot buttons interacting, and it gets fun. But I don't want to keep you sitting here all day, so I'm going to make this more like a drive-by copywriting makeover. It's going to just be very brief. So one of the things that you look at when you're looking at copy is what's above the fold. And by that, I mean what you read without having to scroll. Now, there's a lot of white space here, and white space can be a good thing, but we don't get into the copy until after this video. And video also very, very popular and a good thing to have as well. One of the things I would change on Dr. Cindy's page is I would not have a self-launching video. And you have to test that with your own market. My market is similar to Cindy's in that we both appeal to women. Women in particular do not like having something that they don't have the control over, having this self-launching thing, and also think some people might be at work or they may have little children sleeping. They don't really need to have a voice that comes out at them that they don't have control over. And I know a lot of people do use the self-launching successfully, but I'm telling you that I don't like it. So what you see here is her headline, and then there's another post headline after, and then a third headline before we get into the copy. And then here we go from Dr. Cindy Brown, and we start on into our copy. Here's what I'm going to tell you. If people don't get hooked in right away by your copy or by your headline, they're not going to stick around. And the other thing I will tell you is that we read copy aloud in our own minds. So sentences that you read in copy need to sound conversational, and they need to also be able to be read with appropriate pauses where a punctuation would be. These really long sentences that are clunky in your head are not going to translate. They're not going to hook us in. It's too much work, so people aren't going to stick around. So here's what I would do for this headline. I put this in a Word document so I could make a few changes. So here it's in quotes, which is a good thing because that means Dr. Cindy is telling us this, and there's some kind of a psychological thing about having your headline in quotes. So finally, here's your chance to learn and practice Dr. Cindy's specific strategies to help you attract and keep the right and perfect man and relationship you've always wanted. Okay, I had to stop several times to catch my breath, and this is really not about Dr. Cindy. This is about me. So all of the stuff that she's going to provide isn't really impressing me. So finally, you can attract and keep the right and perfect man. I'm not sure why that's in quotes, but I'm going to put it in these instead. All right, the right and perfect man and relationship you've always wanted. Let's just say the right and perfect relationship. Not, and then we put an exclamation to add a little bit of excitement about it. So finally, you can attract and keep the right and perfect relationship you've always wanted. Now, moving on to this, announcing the Cinderella live one-day event. And I'm not sure why that would be in quotes because it's assuming that it's not going to be live, but it is. It's a live one-day event where you can get exclusive access to all the how-tos and the what not to do's of my personal makeover system, your participation in this event is guaranteed to change your life. Again, it sounds a little too desperate. We're pushing too hard too early in the copy. You've got to demonstrate the benefits that the participant, that your prospect is going to get as a result of this. So I don't mind saying that this is an event, but that's all we really need to say at this point. You're going to have to prove to me in the copy that it's worth coming for. And this really sounds out of place. Hurry, you'll only get this one chance to experience this event and material at this low price, and payment plans are already available. Well, I don't even know what you're selling yet, so that's totally a turnoff. We don't want that. Now, one of the things that I noticed as I was going through the copy is that a lot of it is more about Dr. Cindy than about me as the target market, and that's a common mistake. So I just want to bring that up. If you just took that and draped the fact that all of these sentences, or most of them, need to be turned around to be about me and your prospect, rather than being about Dr. Cindy. This is really, I'm the star of the show because you're the one who wants me to buy from you, right? So that it only makes sense. We are all about what's in it for us. It's just the way we are. So I will say that the formatting is nice. There's a lot of white space. There's subheads that break up things. There is a conversational tone that I'm very fond of. But I don't think this is the right opening. We're talking about Cindy's story right off the bat, and that can be effective, but there's nothing here. Several years ago, I was a somewhat happy entrepreneur, psychotherapist, and coach, working hard, enjoying living independent and single. It's too much about you and not enough about me because it's all about me. So I think that this needs to go, this opening, and that this is another very common thing that happens. A lot of times we bury the opening deeper in the copy. So here she was unhappy before, and now she is happy. So that's always a nice thing. But here's where we kind of get into where it's about me. And we're on almost at the bottom of the second page before we get into this. So women, are you sick and tired of being alone? Blah, blah, blah. Are you all these things? Now, let's try that as an opening and see what happens. Okay. Nope. It's not exactly pulling me in, but it is more about me. So there needs to be more attention paid to bringing it back to me. This is all about Dr. Cindy getting sick of being alone when she didn't want to be online and offline dating, turning her head as her lovers were as other lovers were smooching. All of these. This is a list. So this is actually a good place to put bullets. So let's undo that. So I moved those back. There they are. I moved them back to where they were. Now, I had previously looked at this document before, and I created her opening into bullets. So, and I make this you when you didn't like to be. So, have you ever been out of a relationship for so long it felt as if you'd never find Mr. Right? Me too. If you've ever been sick of being alone when you didn't like to be, online and offline dating, turning your head as lovers were smooching, crying during romantic movies, always hanging out with only girlfriends, going to sleep in a cold bed alone, white knuckling it during vacations and holidays, and just plain being horny. And the reason this is Dr. Cindy's language because I read this later on. Here she is. Actually, I was I was just damn horny. And that's so Dr. Cindy just telling it like it is. And that's what you want in this kind of letter. You want to relate to your prospect and you tell her like it is. Look, it doesn't have to be like that. You can have everything that you want. So then I have a solution for you. More about that in a minute. Now, this is a place where this is out of place. So don't get me wrong, being single can have its benefits. That is great. But right now we're trying to remind them of the pain of what it's like to be single. So we've basically undone what it is that we were trying to prove. So this should be something that's later in the copy. So what I'm going to do is what I like to do in that is I don't like to get rid of copy because often it's just in the wrong place. That happens a lot of times. So I'm just going to move it because I want to stick with this pain, with the pain of what it's like to not be in a relationship, because those are the women who are going to go to this event on June the 13th. So, so she has a solution. She's going to tell us about it. Now, then we go back to Dr. Cindy again of what she's wanting. This is not the right place for that. It might work later. So again, into the copy graveyard, and we'll see if that might be something to work in later. So, and I love this. Can I get an oh yes? Because it's very conversational. But now since I've changed the copy around, it doesn't make sense. So I need to change this. So we're getting into a solution. And now is when we're going to start talking about her story. And that's fine. It's very nice to have your story in copy as long as you keep it concise and brief and turn it back around to me as quickly as you can. So okay, I used to be where you are now. Okay. And then this sentence no longer makes sense. That's when I decided I would do something about the predicament. So then this is a place where her story comes into play and the pain of it. And it's very important that we know that she's been there too. That I'm not saying don't have that, but just be very concise about your story. And then she found all this and she found the man of her dreams, and now it's your turn. I love that. Now it's your turn. You two can learn about you and then attract the man in the relationship of your dreams. You two can learn how you're making it sound like too much work. You too can learn how to attract the man in relationship of your dreams. Okay. I like it. And we're missing a word here. This happens a lot of times too. This is why it's a good idea to read your copy aloud. We will assume that we see the word. We'll actually put it in with our minds, whether it's there or not. And then here's her live event. She tells a little bit more about how she turned her personal growth process and relationship success story and journey into a step-by-step system. So that's what you're going to be learning, her step-by-step system. And it's on the 13th. And now we've already covered all of these questions in the beginning. So we're taking them out because it's redundant. We've already brought them to the pain, shown them there is a solution, demonstrated that this solution works with Dr. Cindy's story, and now we don't need to go back and remind them of what the pain is again, because we've already done that. And when you have a group of questions, more than 2 or 3, people actually start to get a little irritated. It's a very interesting phenomenon, but it is true. So let's have just a quick look. This is all the time I have time for right now. Finally, you can attract and keep the right and perfect relationship you've always wanted, announcing the Cinderella System Live one-day event. Dear friend, have you ever been out of a relationship for so long? Blah, blah, blah. If you've ever, so we're reminding them of all these pains, and there is a solution. I used to be where you are now. And then she's going to make her story a little more concise. And now announcing, ta-da, the solution, the answer is her event on June the 13th. And you're going to get these things. You can see nice testimonials where she has helped other people. This is some really great use of bullets, and actually nice bullets that we might consider moving up. And then finally, having 4 payments on such a high value ticket item is really overkill. It almost looks like, you pay 5 cents a week for the rest of your life. It's too much. If people can come up with $97, they can probably come up with 2 easy payments of $53.50. So I think it detracts from the credibility. And then there's my copy that's just left over. So the most important lessons for you is to remember that people read in their minds, and so it's best to read your copy aloud so you can find out whether or not you have appropriate stops and areas to breathe, because we will read it aloud. And if they don't get past the headline and past the opening, they won't get any further in your copy. So your opening and what's going on in the beginning are very, very important, and it sets the pace and the tone of the flow. So this is me, Lori Morgan Ferrero, signing off. I hope this has been of some value to you, and that you get out there and improve your copy now.